Joining me is Sky News Political Editor Andrew Clennell. Andrew, great to see you. This is not the first time that I've noticed Energy Minister Chris Bowen get angry at being questioned about his global warming policies. We discussed an outburst just last week as well. What do you think is going on here? Because to me, it sounds like here's a true believer who actually feels threatened by facts.
Look, it looks a bit like he is a true believer, to be honest, certainly in the climate policy of Labor, and given he helped design it, why wouldn't he? It looks like he's got a temper. It's as simple as that. You've got to watch that. If I was advising him, I'd say, don't take it personally. I've seen many politicians make this mistake, of course, not least of which was Scott Morrison. Take the substance of the question and address it. That's what you've got to do. Otherwise, people look at you and go, this guy's in charge. Do I feel secure right now? But, I mean, it wasn't too over the top. But, yeah, it's been a couple of times now that Chris Bowen has reacted this way. And the mess we're in at the moment, a lot of it, of course, has to do with the high price of gas, means you have to be nimble. You can stick with pumping up renewables, but for the time being, you've got to push coal, you've got to push gas to keep the system running, because politically you're going to suffer if it doesn't keep running. Now, I guess Chris Bowen helped keep it running by getting them to effectively renationalise the electricity market this week, which was quite extraordinary. So he's done that part of the job, but he needs to be open-minded on the challenges of the next year or two on the energy front.
Suddenly we're all socialists now. Look, here's a curious thing for me, Andrew. If you believe that global warming is a threat, right, can't have all these emissions in the air, you don't get a bunch of people to fly to Canberra for a photo op. But Anthony Albanese got all those business and union leaders and those Green campaigners to fly to Canberra, all those emissions in the contrails behind them, to watch him sign this new global warming policy to supposedly cut emissions even harder. Now, the hypocrisy here is one thing, Andrew, but I want to know this. Why would business leaders want to be photographed standing behind Albanese like political props, backing a policy that right now seems insane?
Well, I don't know. All I'll say is it's interesting timing. I'm not going to go as hard as you on it, Andrew, I don't think, but it is interesting timing. I guess they want to be friends with the new government. A lot of businesses see opportunities in the renewable space, frankly. So there's all that behind it. I see what you mean about the plane trips. Well, that's the argument with every COP that they have, every UN conference that they have on the matter.
So true.
But, I mean, talk about doubling down. That's the expression here. Of all the, like, you could have done it another week, couldn't you? You could have done it when Parliament resumed, for example. He's talking about legislation going through about the emissions target then. Instead, you do it on the week where we all fear our power's going to get turned off. And one of the reasons the Australian Energy Market Operator gave yesterday was that there hadn't been enough solar and wind. So the argument is once you get storage, that will improve, but no one seems to be able to tell us at the moment when and how that's going to happen. So that's the difficulty here. And, yeah, I thought it was odd timing. It shows a determination by Albanese to press ahead with his target, come what may. He's just got to keep the lights on as well. I
also think, Jermaine, to what you just said about solar and wind, that you're right, Emo was saying that's one of the reasons we're short of power. And have a look exactly, this is what few journalists have picked up. When is this crisis in the power thing becoming so manifest? They're saying turn off your lights around 6 or 7 or 8 o'clock at night, when guess what? There's no sun. You can't get solar power. That's why we're so short of power. Anyway, I thought New South Wales Labor leader Chris Minns might have had the only answer for now, that is for governments to now buy back the coal-fired power stations that they sold for huge money a few decades ago. Here he is.
If we were in control of our energy assets like they are in Western Australia, we could make decisions about the availability of baseload power for New South Wales, and that means keeping prices as low as possible while also moving towards renewable energy. The baseload power is there. Private companies can invest in renewable energy in this state without the lights potentially being turned off. We don't have that luxury in New South Wales because decisions have been made to sell off those assets. I think it's been a terrible decision, and the taxpayers and energy consumers in this state are now paying for it.
Now, Andrew, I'd back that idea just for the sheer pleasure of seeing a global warming crusader like Chris Bowen, the Energy Minister, actually now being in charge of running coal-fired power stations. That'd be just delicious.
But he sort of is at the moment. Anyway, yeah.
Well, Yeah. Yeah, but then again, if you go down this path, which might be the only way of keeping running power stations that are running at a loss, you're also up for A, the purchase price, and B, actually investing tens of millions of dollars of some of them to extend their lives.
Hundreds of millions. But see, there is a middle way here.
Oh,
so I don't agree we should buy them all back. I can't think of anything worse. I actually agreed with the privatisations at the time, although Morris Yema, the New South Wales Labor Premier, said the privatisations were necessary to keep the lights on. Now his successor, Chris Minns, a few leaders down the track is saying, well, we might have to buy them back to keep the lights on. So, gee whiz, I mean, seriously, but you could just do what Angus Taylor was exploring doing, pay the companies over the next 3 or 4 years to keep them going, give them $200 or $300 million to upgrade Liddell to keep it going, or some of these other power stations. Ultimately, government might have to do that. Their solution, Scott Morrison's solution, was the Kurri gas plant, but with gas prices where they are and that demand going on, is that going to do enough? And Snowy Hydro's late, we believe now. So I think there will have to be some intervention on the coal side, at least in the medium term.
Maybe the government, being holy roller Chris Bowen and the rest of them, they should be saying, hey guys, this is Earth Hour. We're celebrating Earth Hour every single day. I mean, that's great. We really believe this stuff. Andrew Clennell, thank you so much for your time.